developer workshop. I don't know how many we are in, but brief introduction. If you guys don't know, I'm Emily, developer advocate for Linea. We have someone very special today working on a very interesting product that I will let him introduce. Essentially, very excited to host this because I believe XMTP and Linea will both be at ETH Global. So I think this is kind of a good time to figure out some synergies that we could combine together. But without further ado, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Emily. It's Fabri. I'm developer relations for XMTP, and thanks for the invitation. And happy to be joining the Linea community in this stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So I usually start off with like a brief, like, what is XMTP? How does it work, etc. But since you brought up slides, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you take the wheel from here and sit. I can sit nice and cozy, and you can do all of the work. Sound good?
Sure, I'm going to do a small workshop about what's XMTP. So let me share the screen. So XMTP is the secure messaging network for Web3. And I want to start with current problems that Web3 has. So we identified 3 problems, which is developers can reach their users. In this case, developers are dApps, decentralized applications, and users can't reach the developers of these apps. Then the creators, in this context also is NFT creators, for example, they can't reach their audiences, and audiences being NFT degenerates who purchase NFT, for example. And then you have that users can reach each other. Everything, of course, through wallets. So XMTP is trying to solve these problems. And if we go back to how big tech works today, how Web2 platforms work today, we know that we don't own anything on these platforms. Everything is rented. We rent our identity from them. We rent all the activities owned by them. I cannot message you from Twitter to WhatsApp or WhatsApp to Telegram because there is no interoperability between them. They are closed systems. So on the other side, we have the solution, which is a Web3 network, which has all the properties of Web3, like ownership, portability, transparency. Everything is, of course, open source versus Web2 today that privacy and security are at least questionable, right? And so building on top of XMTP, you can think of XMTP as being this software platform that provides you this messaging infrastructure. So all the apps built on top of XMTP are going to provide you with the same experience, the same inbox, right? So doesn't matter if you message me from, we are going to see these apps in a moment, but if you message me from Coinbase Wallet or I message you from Converse, you're always going to see the same conversations and the same messages across all apps. And we, of course, everything is encrypted end to end, everything is open source, and eventually it's going to be decentralized, and the network is going to be run by the people. So if you are seeing this, I want to start by a practical example. So if you scan this QR code, this is going to direct you to Coinbase Wallet, right? Recently, Coinbase Wallet, for example, has integrated XMTP into their wallet experience. So now you can DM me, for example, from your wallet to my wallet. This is the first time that this is possible and that it is so simple to do. So if you don't have Coinbase Wallet, this is going to take you to download Coinbase Wallet, and this is my Coinbase Wallet ID. I'll give it a few more seconds if you want to be onboarded to the Coinbase Wallet experience.
I guess this requires having a Coinbase wallet, right?
Yeah, the first time you will need to be, if you don't have a Coinbase Wallet, then yes.
Okay, let's see. I think I have one. So I'll go ahead and start messaging you. Hello. Okay. I believe I sent you a message just now, yeah?
Yeah, let me check. Yeah, got it. You're Poke Milmon, right?
Yes.
Is it Poke Milimon?
I've actually never really said it out loud, but yeah, it's Pokemon. It's supposed to be like Pokemon, but then, Emily in the middle. I made it in middle school. I hope you think I'm clever and not awkward.
Do you use Coinbase Wallet?
No, I'm primarily a MetaMask user. Actually, I downloaded Coinbase Wallet for the Waterloo hackathon to get juicy fruit, and you guys did like deodorant delivery through the Converse app.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing it through.
Well, the corner store is growing very rapidly. We are
Yeah.
going to have a new version of it in New York with a fully automated bot, big partners, a lot of new products down the line, Red Bulls, not just toothpaste.
That's exciting.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I got another message. It's nice.
Maybe some popular.
Cool. Let's continue. Now, this is how an interoperable inbox looks like. So we have Coinbase Wallet on the left. Now we also have Converse. Converse is one of the flagship apps of the ecosystem. It's kind of like a WhatsApp, kind of like a Telegram, but you have the catch is that you have to log in with your wallet, right? So, and then you have Lenser, which is one of the decentralized social media apps that they have embedded into their experience, chat, DMs, right? So you can talk to your followers, to people you follow, your audience. If you're an NFT creator, your audience can talk to you. So it's not just about messaging, but it's also about the social connections to it. And more on use cases, this is not just for sending messages, but you can think of like the endpoint for reaching wallets, whatever that is, right? So you can reach them through marketing campaigns. You can reach them for customer support, and all of this includes automation. So we are seeing in the ecosystem apps emerging like with like CRMs or automation tools that allow you to send how like a conditional logic and eventually send an XMTP message and reach wallets that before were unreachable.
Ooh.
We can also see people building bots. For example, Coinbase is building bots for customer support and their marketing campaigns. Or this is the bot as I was telling you about about the corner store. So you're going to be able to make your order from the hackathon, receive your order instantly by someone from the XMTP team, and you're also going to be able to get funded with base tokens for performing the transactions that you need. So Coinbase also has embedded the financial transactions into the messaging experience. Then this is another example. They are using subscribes. People subscribe instead of subscribing with your email, like for a newsletter. Now you subscribe with your wallet. So you can get the latest on, for example, this campaign, which is on-chain summer and allows you to mint NFTs directly from the messaging experience. Another example, Converse has this, for example, this recommendation engine. And it's based on your on-chain activity, so allows you to create like the matchmaking, like a dating app where you can message people who you share some interest with based on on-chain activity. For example, messaging people who have attended the same conference as you because they have the same poll, right? So this is also very interesting to see.
This feels dangerous.
Yeah, but for example, you can identify them by their ENS domain, so it gives a little more authenticity to this kind of interactions. As you can see, on the inboxes are not wallets. Most of them are ENS domains, so that's a big one. Ideally, I want to send a message to, how was yours? To Pokemelimon instead of your wallet address. Lastly, there is also finance applications, finance use cases. So I can send you a message and I can send you USDC. So in Paris, for example, there was the base cafe and they were taking orders and you had to pay in USDC. So you will pay through the message, the bot will take the payment and the order will get served. I can just with a button send you 10 USDC in the chat That's it. And it will be discounted automatically from your balance. And again, social media apps, in this case, this is a mobile one, or for example, is using, they have their social experience, their communities, and they also have embedded the chat experience for people to communicate through wallets. Now, okay, that was like an intro of XMTP. How does it feel? Do you have
there's
anything to add?
a question. There's, will it use self-sovereign identity? I'm assuming that's probably like a question about
Sorry,
ANS.
I'm listening to you. Okay, so can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Got
So
confused.
no worries. There's a question about, will it use self-sovereign identity? I'm assuming that's probably a question about like domains and stuff.
Well, for now, we are compatible with EVM addresses. So we are focusing on the EVM network. So eventually, we are going to work on account abstraction features. But the idea right now is to remain very simple at the core of the protocol. So you have to have an EVM address. That's the only thing that you need for using XMTP.
Okay. I was wondering if you could touch on some use cases maybe that you've encountered, like winners at a hackathon, for example, that have been built in like 2 days, right? It's like a much smaller kind of niche or scoped
Well, there
product.
is, hackathons. For example, one of the big features that are asked by many of the developers is group chats, right? So you can think of, this is coming very soon. We had an early alpha release for the last hackathon, but it's not available right now. So, but it was highly popular between hackathon builders, because you can create a DAO for people who share the same community or share the same POP holdings, or they are members of a DAO. And then you have a DAO where you have a group chat where you can send from a DAO, let's say a proposal, and people can vote on the same group chat. Everything is on the backend being work on chain, and all the transactions are instantly in that group chat messaging. So yeah, DAOs, subscribing to proposals, to votes, sending financial transactions. I think hackathons are big on use cases. Like even we have partners with creating bots. Like the bots also are very popular amongst the hackathons.
I see. And then, so obviously, like we brought you on because XMTP supports Linea. I'm curious kind of what, if you've seen, how do I word this? Like use cases more for like cross-chain applications. When does it come into play? Because like, for example, I guess Coinbase example is very limited to anything that happens on Base, perhaps.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there is no, right now, Base is new, and there is no connection between Base and XMTP, right? The only connection is your wallet address, which is EVM compatible. So as long as it is EVM compatible, that's fine. Regarding if you want to go to other chains who are not EVM compatible, there is not a lot of work being done there. Not in very high demand for now, but something that we may consider with this, maybe account abstraction features coming in the roadmap.
Yeah. Do you want to, are you allowed to elaborate on that? Like what people can expect?
Well, we are working on Protocol B3. So we are going to release an early version soon. Basically, what Protocol B3 is going to allow is going to have more security features. And these security features are going to enable us to have, for example, a really secure group chat. So we are going to implement what we call double ratchet, which is basically the key changes every time you send a message. So in the jargon of messaging protocols, this is called that it's going to provide to the network forward secrecy and post-compromise security. This means that if your key gets compromised, the attacker is going to have only access to the current messages, not the previous one or the ones that come in the future. And this is going to add like this extra needed layer of security that's going to allow us to start to think about, for example, a account abstraction. But it's something that is not defined yet.
Mm. Oh, and then I had a question kind of about, like, can you explain how XMTP works kind of in the background, right? Like, what allows you to do all of this decentralized chat?
Yeah, well, XMTP is not on chain. We use CRDTs to reach consensus between who sent what and when. And we are running 5 nodes. They are run by XMTP Labs, which is the company behind XMTP. And eventually we are going to open up the nodes so people can run their own nodes. But for now, the node is basically a PostgreSQL database, very traditional database setup with, and we use topics. So if you query the database, you're not going to see nothing. You're going to see this concept called the topic, which is part of how the network is structured, and everything is basically random text because everything is encrypted. There is no metadata. There is nothing. There is no concept of messages, of conversation. Nothing is on the database right now.
Okay, very cool. And then I guess XMTP, and you'll probably dive into this, I'm assuming after this you're going to go into a workshop, is more just like an SDK, right? So for developers who want to use XMTP, there's no need to actually deploy a smart contract.
Yeah, that's correct. There is we have 6 SDKs, mobile and desktop, React, Swift, Android, and I'm going to show now how the JavaScript works. But yeah, it's plug and play. You only need your wallet to interact with XMPP.
Yeah, I mean, if we could jump into a demo of, like, I guess you said in JavaScript, right? What that looks like for someone integrating into their application.
Yeah. Let's see. So this is an overview. Like, these are 10 lines of code that describe everything that is important about XMTP. So basically importing the libraries, having your wallet. In this case is we are using a random wallet from Ethers, but could be your wallet. And then you create the XMTP client. The first time you need to sign for the first time to be enabled in the network. Once you are on the network, you're going to be able to receive messages going on, not before. You first have to give like consent to create your identity on the network. Then once you're on the network, you're able to create a conversation with someone else who is also on the network. And then you can load the messages and send a message. So let's go into the code. Let me check. I'll share the other tab. Okay, first of all, no.
Can you zoom in a bit? Oh, okay.
Okay, this is accessible through our documentation. You don't see much. This is small.
Yeah, if you could zoom in a bit. I can kind of read it, but my eyes are bad.
That's better.
Can you do one more?
Yep.
Okay, I think that's good.
Well, we have this interactive quick start based on Replit, and it's on our documentation. If you go to quick start for developers, this is going to take you here. So we are going to do like a multi-step onboarding to XMTP. So let me comment on this one. So first step, I'm going to initialize the wallet. I'm already imported Ethers and our SDK, which is our JavaScript SDK, and we are going to use the client from the XMTP SDK. So I'm going to create a random wallet. This is going to display this random wallet. If you're in a browser, this is going to be like identical to do like a login with MetaMask. We are going to send this wallet signer. We are going to then send it to the XMTP client, and we're going to specify also in which environment we want to build. We have the production network and the developer network. In this case, if you, for example, Coinbase is using the production network. So for example, if you want to send me a message later, it will be on the production. Then we want to check if we are going to create the conversation and check if the address that we want to create the conversation with is on the network or it isn't. If it's not, then we can't do anything. we can't send a message if it's not on the network. So let's try this first. Initialize the client, create the wallet, create the client, and check. Let's do that. Let's run that. Okay, there is a client created with this random wallet. So now this wallet is part of the XMTP network. Now let's say I want to message. Do you have my? I'm going to this is my wallet. Let's say I want to message this wallet, so I'm going to check if it's on the network, and if it's on the network, I'm going to send a conversation. Yeah, so we are going to do the can message of this address, and then let me replace this. And if it's can message, it's going to create a new conversation with this wallet, which is the wallet2 variable. Yeah. Is it clear so far?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. There is better. Okay, so can message true because this is my wallet address from Coinbase, so I am on the network, so this returns true, and now creates a conversation with me, and that's it. Now, when we open up a conversation, we are going to be able to send a message and then listen for new messages from that conversation. In this case, I'm going to be listening for messages from all conversations. We have two methods here. One is for first, this is a stream, right? So the stream is going to be listening for new messages that come from the other side. And the stream can be listening from messages from one conversation only or from all the conversations that you have enabled already with your wallet. So in this case, I'm going to be listening to them all. So if you can be people from the audience is going to be able to send me a message, and we're going to see how that works. Let's run everything now. Okay, this QR code, I need to take zoom away. Okay. Now this is listening right now. So if you send a message to this QR code, I'm going to scan it. This QR code is an external library called QR code terminal, which is very useful. But if I scan this, remember this wallet is was created just recently. It's a random wallet. So now I send the message, and there it is. This is the message I just sent.
What does this say? I can't read it.
GM from Coinbase, because I'm on the Coinbase app.
Mm.
Yeah, and if I do, for example, hi from okay, hi from Commerce. Okay, I can send messages from any of the apps to the same wallet, and this app is receiving these messages through the stream. So that's how simple it is to use XMTP. As we've seen, is creating the client for the first time. Then you don't need to be re-signing each time you use XMTP, only once. Then you can send the keys if you have stored them to the client each time, so you don't have to re-log in for using XMTP, checking if the address is on the network, creating a conversation, sending a message, and listen for new messages. And this can be applied for if you want to allow people to subscribe to a marketing campaign, run automations. Everything is compressed in these simple concepts.
I see. We had a question about actually running the nodes. So there's a question: what would people operate XMTP nodes on when it's available?
Well, we have already available the nodes to be run on testnet, so people can start tinkering with that. If you go to our GitHub, you're going to find
can you switch to your GitHub or your internet, your web page?
Yep. Yeah, if you go, can you see right now GitHub? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the URL?
GitHub.com/XMTP.
Okay, cool.
Here you're going to have find the latest on our SDKs, and we have a testnet repo for running a node. And this is coming. We are working on protocol B3, and at the same time in releasing this production bot ready, production node ready for people to run by end of the year, we hope.
Okay, cool. I had some questions kind of around maybe like when you're building chat applications. So for example, at the notification level, is that more, that has like nothing to do with the smart contract side, right? So if someone was building a chat app, that would just be your standard notification libraries that you would use in a normal application that wasn't using XMTP, correct?
For like push notifications, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have a server implementation for running a server notification. Right now it's only in Go, but all the partners are using it as it is. So basically you subscribe to this notification server, which is like in the middle, and you say, okay, I want to subscribe to these topics, as we call them, these concepts. And then the notification server is going to be listening for things happening on the network, and it's going to be forwarding using maybe Firebase or some of those services, and then back to the client. So, and everything is decoded in the client. So until the client, everything is encrypted, and on the in the client, you are going to be able to decrypt it.
Okay, cool. Oh, though I do have a question kind of about like maybe XMTP's value prop. I think like why decentralize your chat? Because I think there is a lot of, or how do I put this? I think especially in kind of the Web2 mind space, right? You make money and get users by creating kind of your little moat, right? And that's how you trap them. So opening up the ability for people to like, basically my understanding is right, XMTP reduces vendor lock-in, which I think in a Web2 paradigm is not a great thing, right? So can you kind of give me the arguments of why I would be interested in using XMTP?
Yeah, so, well, we have two ways of seeing this. First, in Web3, we are creating this channel. We are bridging the gap between wallets. So we are creating this new open channel of communication. So we are allowing for new types of interactions between users, dApps, and developers. That's on Web3. We are solving for those problems. Now, on Web2, we think XMTP eventually can become a Web2 messaging communications protocol. That will mean that we believe that XMTP is a public good, everything is open source, and we believe that everything has the right to own their communications, because the identity right now is the wallet, right? We don't rent our identities like signing with Google, signing with Facebook. So the idea is that all of Web2 is converging into this unique identity. And when that happens, we need to have secure and trusted communications protocol that is going to really ensure that everything is encrypted end to end because it's open source. So this is not possible today. We can't be sure that these companies are using our data in the ways that they are saying to, or some of them also have admitted not to be encrypting anything. So again, we think the value prop overall is security, privacy, ownership, and portability, bringing these Web3 values to the messaging experience.
Yeah. So I have a question kind of just about maybe what you've seen be the most popular. So when you were mentioning, like, I guess Coinbase messaging, for example, like the CRM use case of XMTP, I was like, oh, I have never thought of that, right? Because my only interaction with it so far has just been, chatting my friends and stuff like that. Do you see this kind of what do you call it? Protocol, I guess, being more applicable to just companies who want to identify their wallet users, so staying kind of siloed, or do you I don't know what I'm trying to ask here. Maybe I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to tell you I actually never thought of the CRM use case, and that's actually really cool. I think also really relevant for Linea, because we did do a whole like NFT campaign for our early testers. So I'm super excited to tell my team about this. I'm like, oh my God, this would be very useful. But yeah, I don't have anything additional to add. There's some latency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the idea too. We are more in the dynamic between dApps, creators, and users. So other chains and the chain itself runs like in parallel. An app using, for example, a dApp will be using Linea and would have XMTP into their experience, but Linea and XMTP wouldn't be like communicating with each other, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess in your demo, when you were, like the whole, whatever network you're on is like, it doesn't matter. Right. So I know like with other SDKs, for example, like Biconomy and stuff like that, there are points where you need to specify like what chain you're using. But with XMTP, that's abstracted away. It's actually not necessary.
Yeah, because we thought that to have a scalable messaging network that runs millions of messages per second, let's say, you can't have that on chain, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
from the beginning, we decided that this is going to be off chain.
Okay. Very cool. I think we are good to end here. Most of our viewers actually come and watch later rather than live. But this was awesome. I am really glad that we had this session because I think it's kind of expanded my mind space, like I mentioned.
Yeah, this was fun, Emily. Thanks.
Do you have any call to actions, or maybe like flash your what's the documentation link? Do you know?
Sure. Let's check out the docs quickly. So if you go to xmtp.org/docs, you're going to find, I always put new labels on the latest that we are working on. And you're going to find, for example, if you want to participate in the next hackathon in New York, we have a hackathon section. Then the build section is basically the quick start that we saw, the live quick start, but all the concepts explained. Then we have technical tutorials, more info on use cases. We have all the use cases that we see, and more, and even more automation, DeFi, how XMTP is being used by customer support, DAOs, and much more. And then we have information about the protocol itself, its concepts, and its architecture. So yeah, I think the docs are very easy to understand. So I invite everyone to check them out.
Okay, very cool. Oh my God. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to give, I guess, 5 seconds before I close this out in case anybody is like, I suddenly came up with an idea. But so good to have you. Will I see you in New York or no?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to New York for the whole event, the two conferences.
Okay, awesome. So if you have questions, come find Fabry IRL. He has a
Okay.
body. He's not just in this section. But okay, I'll
See you there
see you
then.
end of September, and I'll end the
Nice.
stream in 5, 4, 3,